Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today I and my group will present about vector and scalar. So first, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Shafi Aiman bin Rosdi. My matrix number is 08DKA21F2078.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Nur Irfan bin Buhari. My matric number is 08 DKA 21F 2022.
And then my name is Maisara binti Zainal and my matrix number is 08 DKA 21F 2066. So for today, our group are going to present one of the chapter in our mathematics syllabus, which is the last chapter, vector and scalar. Before that, I'm going to present about introduction for vector and scalar. So we come into the contact with many physical quantities in the natural world on a daily basis. For example, like time, mass, weight, forces, and electric charge are physical quantities that we are really familiar in our daily basis. So we know that time passes and physical objects have their own mass. So things have weight due to the gravity. We exert forces when we open door, walking on the street, and kick balls. We experience electric charge through the winter and also through using anything which runs out of the electricity. There are many physical quantities that are exist in this world. We can divide it into the group or two board of quantities, which is one of them is vector and scalar. I'm going to pass to the next presenter to explain more about what is vector and what is scalar.
Let's go to the first point, is scalar. What is scalar? A scalar is a quantity that is fully described by a magnitude only. It is described by just a single number. Some example of scalar quantities include speed, volume, mass, and time. So this is a point of scalar. Scalar quantity has magnitude but not direction. Next is every scalar quantity is one dimension. Third is any change in scalar quantity is the reflection of the change in magnitude. And lastly is any mathematical operation carried out among two or more scalar quantities will provide a scalar only. However, if a scalar operate with a vector, then the result will be a vector. So we'll be going to the next slide. Next point is vector. What is a vector? Vector is a quantity that has both of a magnitude and a direction. Vector quantities are important in the study motion. For example, of vector quantities include force, velocity, acceleration, and momentum. So this is a point of vector. First, vector quantity has a both magnitude and direction. Second, vector and quantity can be 1, 2 or 3 dimension. Third is any change in vector quantity can reflect either change in direction or a change in a magnitude or change in both. Lastly is the result of mathematical operation between two or more vector may give either scalar. For example, vector, product, summation, and subtraction.
So after knowing what's the meaning of vector and scalar in more detail, sometimes we can get confused between these two. So on how we are going not to being confused is that we just have to remember that for scalar, speed is a scalar quantity. Meanwhile, for vector, weight is a vector quantity. To repeat it again, a scalar is a quantity that is fully described by a magnitude only. It is described just as a single number. For example, a scalar quantity is volume, mass, and time. So for vector, a vector is a quantity that has both magnitude and also direction. Vector quantities are important to study of motion. Some example of vector quantity are include velocity, acceleration, momentum, and many more.
So next point is application of vector and scalar in real life. So what the application can apply in real life with vector and scalar. So this example is roller coaster. Most of the motion in a roller coaster, right, as a response to Earth's gravitational pull. When a train reach at a peak point, then right to the downhill, it gains enough speed for gravitational pull. With this speed, it's climbed to the next hill. This process occurs over and over until all the trains energy has been loss of friction. The train will be able to keep running as long as no point on the track was higher than the first peak. Here vector of force, acceleration and velocity are important to make safety system.
So for the next slide is crosswind. We are familiar to the term of crosswind. A crosswind is any wind that has a perpendicular component to the line of or direction of travel. When a plane comes to land, sometimes it faces difficulties for crosswind. A pilot can find out the resultant velocity and direction by help of vector.
So next, in vector and scalar, we also learn about the area of parallelogram. So area of the parallelogram is to find the area of the parallelogram, multiply the base of the perpendicular by its height. It should be noted at the base and height of the parallelogram are perpendicular to each other, whereas the lateral side of the parallelogram is not perpendicular to the base. Thus, a dotted line is drawn to represent the height. So, for question and answer part, I find an example of parallelogram question. So, it started with find the area of interior in the building using area of parallelogram with edges represented by the factor 9i minus 3j plus 10k and 11i plus 6j plus 7k. To solve this parallelogram question, there's a few steps that we are going to do. So, first one, after we read the question carefully, we are going to write down the vector that we find in the question. For example, in this question, for vector A, it was equals with 9i minus 3j plus 10k, and vector B, 11i plus 6j and plus 6k. And then for the next step, we are using dot product formula to find the cross product vector A and vector B. So on the first row, we are going to put alphabet that was set in the vector A and vector B, which is I, J, and K. For the second row, we are using number that was in the vector A, which is 9, negative 3, 10. And for the third row, we are going to use number that was set in the vector B, which is 11, 6, and 7. So for the third step, we are going to multiply this number with alphabet I, minus J, and plus K. So for the first column, we are going to write number not in the row I and column I, which is negative 3, 10, 6 and 7. And for the next one, it same goes with the first one, which is we are going to use number that are not in the row and column for J, which is 9, 10, 11 and 7, and then plus with number that are not in the row and column of K, which is 9, negative 3, 11 and 5, and then we multiply it with positive K. So after we find every number for each column, we are going to multiply it, multiply the upper left with lower right number. For example, negative 3 multiply with 7 will get negative 21, and then 6 multiply with 10 will get 60, and then this value we are going to subtract it. Same goes to another column. So for the fourth step, after we find every of answer for the multiply value, and then we are going to square root this answer. For example, so for first column, we get negative 81i plus negative 47, and then with plus 87k. So after we square root this number, we are going to get 16339. So after that, we are going to multiply it with 2, and then so for the answer, we are going to get 63.91 unit.
So untuk seterusnya kita akan cari magnitude yang diberi A sama dengan 2i tambah J tambah 3k, B sama dengan 3i tambah 5j tolak 2k. So saya akan masukkan dalam kolom dia I 2, 3 dan J 1, 5, K 3, negatif 2. So jawapannya kita akan dapat I kurungan negatif 2 tolak 15 kurungan tolak J kurungan negatif 4 tolak 9 kurungan tambah K kurungan 10 tolak 3 kurungan. So jawapannya kita selesaikan dan kita akan dapat jawapan negatif 17I tambah 13J tambah 7K. Seterusnya kita akan masukkan ke dalam punca kuasa 2 negatif kurungan negatif 17 kurungan kuasa 2 tambah 13 kuasa 2 tambah 7 kuasa 2. Kita akan dapat jawapannya 289 kurungan punca kuasa 2. Dalamnya kita akan letak 289 tambah 169 tambah 49. So jawapan akhir kita akan dapat punca kuasa 2 507. Jadi kesimpulan yang dapat kami simpulkan ialah vektor sangat penting dalam kehidupan seharian kita dan dalam kehidupan seseorang engineer ataupun di dalam kejuruteraan lah. Jadi kita tahu bahawa vektor ni digunakan dalam mekanik kejuruteraan untuk mewakili kuantiti yang mempunyai kedua-dua magnitude dan arah. Banyak kuantiti kejuruteraan seperti daya, hal laju, anjakan dan pecutan perlu diwakili sebagai vektor untuk dianalisis. Sekian, itu sahaja daripada kumpulan kami. Terima kasih.